रेडी? कुछ वर्ड लिखेंगे पहले। फुल कंसिडरेशन, fullest consideration, active consideration, under consideration, more consideration, sympathetic consideration, taken into consideration, taking into consideration, took into consideration, necessary consideration, कोई बना सकते हो फुल कंसिडरेशन में, दोनों में से। फुल कंसिडरेशन, फुल कंसिडरेशन, फुलेस्ट कंसिडरेशन, एक्टिव कंसिडरेशन, वी का हुक और कंसिडरेशन, एक्टिव कंसिडरेशन, अंडर कंसिडरेशन, अंडर अगर हम लोग हैं, मोर कंसिडरेशन, मोर का ग्राम लोग है, सिंपैथेटिक कंसिडरेशन, एस एम पी और के, और कंसिडरेशन, टेकन इनटू कंसिडरेशन, टेकिंग इनटू कंसिडरेशन, टुक कंसिडरेशन, क्रॉस लाइन कर देना बस, नेसेसरी कंसिडरेशन, लिखो फुल कंसिडरेशन, fullest consideration, active consideration, under consideration, more consideration, sympathetic consideration, taken into consideration, taking into consideration, took into consideration, necessary consideration। पहले हाई पे लिखेंगे और फिर उसके बाद में लो पे लिखेंगे। टेस्ट होगा आपका, यूआरएल नंबर होगा, यूआरएल होगा 3PPROGRAMME.steno18.in और सेट नंबर है SSC C D ग्रेड टेस्ट 46 यूट्यूब @100 पे है और @80 पे, और दोनों दोनों विद कोमा के साथ आपको टाइप करने हैं। स्टार्ट इट। Start. Mr. Speaker, sir, yesterday the Honorable Minister and today the Chairman of the Select Committee have fully explained the various classes of the bill and certain important changes that have been effected by the Select Committee. I propose to confine myself to 2 or 3 important features of the bill which require re-examination and close attention by the government. Sir, I need hardly emphasize the important role which the electricity supply undertakings play in the national economy of the country. Indeed, the development in other spheres depends upon the full development of the supply of power, and this bill is of vital importance, affecting as it does the development of electric supply undertakings in the country. I am focusing attention on the role that the private electricity undertakings are playing in the supply of electric power, with a view to drawing the attention of government to the difficulties that are bound to be faced by these electricity undertakings in one or two directions. In this connection, I would not therefore like to take much of the time of the House, but I would like to draw the attention of the Honorable Minister to what my honorable friend Sri Tulsidas has stated, and with whose comments I am in full agreement. As a matter of fact, the approach of the government to the bill is to fulfill three basic considerations so vital for the healthy growth of this industry. Firstly, that its proper control and regulation is but necessary. I fully agree that this is subject to certain differences on basic aspects, but the important consideration governing this bill is to attempt at providing suitable incentives to the industry, which alone can enable it to increase its capacity to the desired extent. Therefore, I would like to refer to the incentives as provided in the bill and to the need for liberalizing the clause in respect of the fair return to the investors in these undertakings. I would like to draw the attention of the Honorable Minister to the fact that since the passing of the original Act in 1948, only 8 states throughout the country have constituted the statutory electricity boards. Among these states are Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Rajasthan, Punjab, Odisha and Maharashtra, and therefore we find that many of the states have still to constitute these electricity boards. I would like to know from the Honorable Minister why in the matter of the constitution of electricity boards many of the states have not implemented the provisions of the bill, and what the central government have done to ensure that these electricity boards are constituted in all the states as desired in the provisions of the original act. Perhaps it may have been the problem of taxation which some of the states may have in view while not proceeding with the constitution of the electricity boards. But whatever might be the reason, and even as far as this question of taxation is concerned, the central government may have to lay down some sort of subvention or such other assistance as is found necessary. I think that this matter of the constitution of the electricity boards throughout all the states is of vital importance, and should be looked into by the central government to ensure that necessary steps are taken in the remaining states for the constitution of these boards. I would now like to say something about the deferred taxation reserve, about which the Honorable Minister yesterday said that the amendment regarding this has been brought forward at the instance of the Federation of Electricity Undertakings. The whole complication arises due to the fact that the provisions of the Income Tax Act and the provisions of the Electricity Supply Act are contradictory to each other. While the Income Tax Act, with an accelerated depreciation in earlier years, result in larger tax relief in the earlier period, and thereby the tax liability of the undertakings is deferred for a future period. The Electricity Supply Act restricts the provision of depreciation to a much lesser degree, and to that extent the profits of the electricity undertakings in regard to the income tax department and depreciation rates are restricted. That act lays down a smaller depreciation as compared to what is allowed under the Indian Income Tax Act. What has now been done has been put with certain restrictions that it does not really solve the demand that was put forward by the Federation. As a matter of fact, if the electricity undertakings should have been allowed to set aside that reserve for taxation liability for future years out of the profits which they earn year by year, out of the rate increase which they have put into force from time to time, that would have met the needs of the situation. But the clause as it has emerged would rather create more difficulties than solve them, and it has therefore been further represented to the Minister by the Federation of Electricity Undertakings. Mr. Chairman, the discussion on the resolution put forward by Mr. Sinha and the substitute motion put forward by Mr. Das has turned out to be a discussion in the nature of a general discussion of the budget of the All India Radio. I do not want to go into all the considerations which have been put forward, but I want to say one thing about the substitute motion that has been put forward by Mr. Das. I think in India we are developing a passion for having committees and commissions. We want a committee or a commission for every blessed thing that there is in India. I think there are millions and millions of things in India. I would say that before we think of having any other commission or committee appointed, we should first of all read the reports of those committees and commissions which are before us, digest them and take action on them, and then think of doing something else. For instance, what is the record of the Ministry of Broadcasting in the matter of the Film Inquiry Committee report? They have now the Press Commission's report. The two bodies have been set up by the ministry. 100 की स्पीड है. फ्लक्चुएशंस माइनर है, 80 पे लिखेंगे, 1000 प्लस वर्ड है। रेडी? Start it. Sir, 80% of this country's population lives in villages, and a majority of them are landless laborers and marginal farmers. Out of this 80%, that is 70 crores of rural population, more than 30 crores are landless laborers. They live below the poverty line. Really speaking, there is no legal provision for their well-being and welfare. The urban labor is less than 10 crores, and the government has taken many steps and measures for their well-being and upliftment. Sir, I would like to narrate some of the measures taken by the government for the welfare of the urban labor. There is an act governing industrial relations and disputes. There are workers' committees, joint management councils, National Commission on Labor, etc. The government has also taken many steps for social security, like the Employees State Insurance Scheme, Employees Provident Fund, Family Pension, Maternity Benefits, etc. for this industrial and urban labor. There is also the Central Board of Workers' Education, the objective of which is to create a well-informed and responsible labor force capable of organizing and running trade unions on a sound basis. All these measures are taken for the benefit of the industrial labor, mine labor, and dock workers. But what about the landless labor and the agricultural labor, which consist of a formidable portion of the labor force of the country? Do they not contribute anything for the development of this nation? Why are they neglected? It is only because they are not vocal, because there is nobody to speak on their behalf, and because there are no trade unions for them. The trade unions of the urban labor exploit the industry. They get the benefits, but they do not fulfill their obligations. With less and less work, they get more and more benefits in cash and in kind, whereas there is no provision for the landless labor and the agricultural labor. Millions of them die without food, the government should make statutory provisions for security of living wage and suitable working conditions for the agricultural labor. Sir, majority of this landless labor and the agricultural labor is heavily burdened by debt. The money lenders suck their blood and exploit them. The crushing burden of debt on them should be removed. Special tribunals should be appointed to inquire into this and all debts which are beyond the capacity of the peasants to pay should be liquidated. Meanwhile, a moratorium should be declared and steps should be taken to provide cheap credit facilities. Sir, for this, the cooperative movement in various parts of the country has done something good, but that requires to be augmented and increased on a large scale. Sir, many of these landless laborers and agricultural laborers suffer only because there is no land for them. For their benefit, some state governments enacted tenancy laws, but they were not implemented. The greatest hardship which they suffer from is that they are landless. The land which was to be given to them by way of surplus has to be obtained by the enactment of tenancy laws. It was not given to them. The vested interests in the rural parts of the country evaded the provisions of the tenancy laws. Therefore, sir, fixity of tenure with heritable rights along with a right to build houses and to plant trees should be provided for all tenants throughout the country. Unless this is done, I don't think the condition of the rural labor can be improved. Not only this, sir, there is a section of the rural population, so to say, the landlords or the rich peasantry. There should be an income tax on their income. Sir, unless their income is taxed and sealed as it is done in the urban parts, they shall continue to exploit these rural people. So, there should be income tax levied on them, and this tax yield should be used for the well-being and welfare of these landless laborers. Now, sir, as I previously stated, the cooperative movement is, so to say, a movement which can help these rural laborers. For this purpose, the rate of cooperative farming and collective farming can be stepped up in this country. So far as I know, the system of cooperative farming is prevalent only in some parts, rather a negligible portion in the Gujarat state. I do not know the position prevailing in the rest of the country, but so far as my state is concerned, there are some societies formed on a cooperative basis for the benefit of agricultural laborers, and they are mostly composed of landless laborers, and they get government wasteland from the government. Now, this land which is provided by the government is not fertile. If they develop this land, the vested interests of the society snatch away this land. The result is that there were some attacks on Harijans and backward classes in different parts of the country. A majority of attacks on Harijans and backward classes are only because of land disputes. 840 वर्ड है, 80 की स्पीड है. ये SSC C D ग्रेड टेस्ट आपको 46 YouTube@80 इस नाम से मिलेगा. आपको URL पर टाइप करेंगे. अगर कोई भी अच्छा लगा तो डिक्टेशन रूम में बैठो, मैं आपकी डिक्टेशन लगाता हूँ आपके अकॉर्डिंग जो आप तैयार करके लेके आए. सीन कंटेंट